It's the age-old question that divides dinner parties and stumps shoppers in the wine aisle. White wine or red wine? One is hailed as a heart-healthy elixir, a sophisticated choice for the discerning palate. The other, a crisp, refreshing delight, perfect for sunny days and lighter fare. But beyond the color, what's the real story? Is red wine's healthy reputation truly deserved, or is it just clever marketing? Could your favorite Sauvignon Blanc actually be a smarter choice for your health, your waistline, and your wallet? The answers are more complex and surprising than you think. Today on Consumer's Choice Top 5, we're uncorking the truth. We're going beyond the basics to bring you the definitive guide to red versus white wine. We'll investigate the top 5 key battlegrounds, from the nitty-gritty of calories and sugar to the complex science of health benefits. We'll journey from the vineyard to the glass, exploring how they're made, why they taste so different, and what that means for your food pairings. And we'll expose the myths and marketing traps that cost you money. By the end of this video, you'll be armed with the knowledge to choose the perfect bottle for any occasion with confidence, and you'll definitely want to stick around until the end. We've got a crucial bonus tip that exposes a common restaurant practice that could be secretly adding hundreds of calories to your diet. Plus, a simple hack to chill your wine perfectly in minutes without watering it down. You don't want to miss it. First on our list, the calorie and sugar showdown. At first glance, the numbers seem pretty close. A standard 5-ounce glass of dry white wine, like a Pinot Grigio, typically contains around 120 calories. A similar-sized glass of dry red wine, like a Cabernet Sauvignon, has slightly more, around 125 to 130 calories. So, case closed, white wine wins, right? Not so fast. That small difference isn't from the color, it's primarily from the alcohol content. Red wines often have a slightly higher alcohol by volume, or ABV, and alcohol itself contains about 7 calories per gram. But the real calorie culprit isn't the alcohol, it's the sugar. This is where the lines get blurred. The key terms you need to know are dry and sweet. A dry wine is one where the yeast has converted nearly all the grape sugar into alcohol during fermentation. A sweet wine, on the other hand, has leftover sugar known as residual sugar. And this is where white wines can become diet derailers. A sweet white like a German Riesling or a Moscato d'Asti can have over 150 calories and pack as much sugar as a can of soda. In contrast, a very dry red wine has almost zero residual sugar. So if you're watching your waistline, the most important question isn't red or white, but dry or sweet. For the lowest calorie options, look for dry wines with a lower ABV. Our top 3 low-calorie picks? A dry Riesling, a crisp Sauvignon Blanc, or a light-bodied Gamay, which is a red wine. The takeaway is clear: don't judge a wine by its color. Check the sweetness level and the alcohol percentage to get the real story on calories. Next up, the heavyweight round, the health and antioxidant debate. This is where red wine has built its stellar reputation, largely thanks to something called the French paradox. The observation that the French have relatively low rates of heart disease despite a diet rich in saturated fats. The suspected hero? Red wine. The magic ingredient everyone talks about is resveratrol. It's a powerful antioxidant found in the skins, seeds, and stems of grapes. During red wine production, the grape juice ferments with these skins for weeks, allowing powerful compounds called polyphenols, including resveratrol and procyanidins, to be extracted into the wine. These compounds are linked to a host of benefits, from protecting the lining of blood vessels in your heart to potentially fighting inflammation and having anti-aging effects. But what about white wine? It's often dismissed in the health conversation, but that's not entirely fair. White wine is made by pressing the grapes and immediately removing the skins before fermentation. This means it has significantly lower levels of resveratrol. However, it does contain its own set of antioxidants like tyrosol and hydroxytyrosol, which some studies suggest may also offer heart protective benefits, though the research is less extensive. Some scientists even argue the smaller antioxidant molecules in white wine might be more easily absorbed by the body. But let's be clear, if you're drinking wine purely for the maximum antioxidant punch, a dry, high-tannin red wine is the undisputed champion. However, we have to talk about the downsides. Both wines contain sulfites, which can trigger reactions in sensitive individuals. And if you've ever gotten a red wine headache, you're not alone. This is often blamed on histamines and tannins, which are much more prevalent in red wines. The most important factor overriding everything else is moderation. Health authorities typically define moderation as 1 5-ounce glass per day for women and up to 2 for men. Exceeding this limit not only negates any potential health benefits, but can lead to serious health risks. So while red wine has the antioxidant edge, the true healthiest choice is always the one consumed in moderation. For our third point, we're going behind the scenes to explore how these wines are made, because the production process is the secret to everything, from their color and taste to their price. Let's start with white wine. The journey begins with harvesting grapes, which are then quickly taken to the winery and pressed. Here's the crucial step. The juice is immediately separated from the grape skins, seeds, and stems. This prevents color and tannins from bleeding into the juice. The clear juice is then moved into fermentation tanks, which are usually stainless steel. Steel is inert, meaning it doesn't impart any flavor, and it allows winemakers to control the temperature precisely. This preserves the fresh, fruity, and floral aromas that we love in crisp white wines. The whole process is relatively quick, and many white wines are bottled and ready to sell within a few months of harvest. Now, for red wine, the process is a dramatic departure. After the grapes are crushed, the entire mixture, juice, skins, seeds, and sometimes even stems, goes into the fermentation vat together. This mixture is called the must. As the yeast works its magic, the alcohol that's produced acts as a solvent, extracting color, flavor compounds, and tannins from the skins. This period of skin contact, called maceration, is what gives red wine its signature color, structure, and complexity. After fermentation, many red wines undergo aging. This often happens in oak barrels, which can be very expensive. Oak is not inert. It breathes, allowing for slow oxidation that softens the wine's harsh tannins. It also imparts its own flavors like vanilla, spice, and toast. This aging process can last for months or even years, adding significant cost and time to the production. This fundamental difference in process, quick and clean for whites, long and complex for reds, is the primary reason for the differences in taste, and as we'll see next, cost. At number 4, we arrive at the most subjective and fun category: taste, tannins, and food pairings. Let's move beyond bold and crisp. The defining characteristic of most red wines is tannin. Tannins are natural compounds from grape skins and seeds that create a drying, slightly astringent sensation in your mouth. Think of the feeling of drinking strong black tea. They give red wine structure and a long-lasting finish. Tasting notes for reds often include dark fruits like black cherry, plum, and blackberry, alongside complex earthy or spicy notes like tobacco, leather, clove, and black pepper. A classic Cabernet Sauvignon is a great example of a high-tannin, full-bodied red. In contrast, a Pinot Noir is lighter-bodied, with silky tannins and notes of red fruits like cherry and raspberry. White wines, on the other hand, are defined by their acidity. Acidity is that mouth-watering, zesty quality that makes a wine feel refreshing and clean. The flavor profile of white wines spans a huge spectrum, from zesty citrus like lemon and grapefruit in a Sauvignon Blanc, to stone fruits like peach and apricot in a Viognier, or even buttery vanilla notes in an oaked Chardonnay. So how do you pair them with food? The golden rule is to match the weight of the wine with the weight of the food. A light, delicate Pinot Grigio would be overwhelmed by a heavy steak, just as a powerful Cabernet would dominate a simple piece of grilled fish. Think light wine, light food, heavy food. Another great principle is to either complement or contrast flavors. A buttery Chardonnay beautifully complements a creamy lobster bisque. Alternatively, a slightly sweet Riesling provides a fantastic contrast to the heat of a spicy Thai green curry, with the sweetness taming the spice. For a foolproof starting point, pair a bold Cabernet Sauvignon with a grilled steak, a versatile Merlot with roast chicken, a delicate Pinot Noir with salmon or mushroom risotto. For whites, try a zesty Sauvignon Blanc with goat cheese and salads, a crisp Pinot Grigio with light seafood, and an off-dry Riesling with spicy Asian cuisine. And that tip for beginners still holds true. If you're new to wine, the high acidity of a white wine is often more approachable than the complex tannins of a red. Finally, let's talk about something every consumer cares about: cost and value. As a general rule, if you pick a red and a white wine from the same region and the same producer, the red is likely to be more expensive. As we learned in the production section, this comes down to time and materials. The lengthy aging process and the cost of new oak barrels required for many premium red wines are significant expenses that get passed on to you, the consumer. White wines, with their faster production cycle and frequent use of less expensive stainless steel, simply cost less to make. But this is where the idea of value comes in. It means that for the same price, you can often get a higher quality bottle of white wine than red wine. A $15 bottle of Sauvignon Blanc might be a top-tier example from its region, while a $15 bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon might be a more basic, entry-level offering. So if you're on a budget, exploring white wines is one of the best ways to get more bang for your buck. Looking for the best value? Our top 3 tips are: first, explore lesser-known regions. Instead of Napa Cabernet, try a Cabernet from Chile. Instead of French Sancerre, try a Sauvignon Blanc from South Africa. Second, look for grape varieties that aren't household names. You'll often pay a premium for Chardonnay or Pinot Noir on the label. Third, don't be afraid of alternative packaging like boxes or cans, which are becoming increasingly popular for good quality everyday wines. Before we get to our final verdict, let's bust some common wine myths. We've already tackled the biggest one, that red wine is always healthier. But here are a few more. Myth #1. A screw cap means it's a cheap, low-quality wine. Absolutely false. Many world-class wineries, especially in Australia and New Zealand, prefer screw caps because they eliminate the risk of cork taint, a chemical fault that can ruin a wine, and they do a better job of preserving the fresh, fruity aromas in white wines. Myth #2. You must serve red wine at room temperature. This is an outdated rule from a time before central heating. Modern room temperature is far too warm and can make a red wine taste soupy and alcoholic. Most reds are best served slightly chilled, around 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 to 18 degrees Celsius. A 15-minute trip to the fridge before serving does wonders. And now for that bonus tip we promised. Portion size matters more than anything else. A standard serving of wine is 5 ounces. But many restaurants, and even you at home, might be pouring 6, 8, or even 9 ounces. A generous 9-ounce pour of red wine can be nearly 250 calories. Have 2 of those, and you've consumed 500 calories, the equivalent of a full meal, just in wine. Always be mindful of your pour size. And here's that quick chill hack. If you need to cool a bottle of white wine fast, don't just throw in a bunch of ice cubes and water it down. Instead, use frozen grapes. They'll chill your glass perfectly without diluting the flavor. Or for a whole bottle, wrap it in a wet paper towel and put it in the freezer for 15 minutes. It will be perfectly chilled and ready to enjoy. So, after all that, what's the final verdict in the battle of white wine versus red wine? Let's recap. If your top priority is the lowest possible calorie count, a dry, low-alcohol white wine is your best bet. If you're seeking the maximum dose of heart-healthy antioxidants, a dry, tannic red wine takes the crown. If you're on a tight budget but still want great quality, white wine often delivers better value for your money. And if you're pairing with a big, hearty meal, a complex red wine is usually the perfect partner. But the real answer, the ultimate consumer truth, is that the better wine doesn't exist. The best wine is the one that suits your personal taste, your meal, your budget, and your health goals. And most importantly, the one you enjoy responsibly and in moderation. The world of wine is vast and delicious, so don't limit yourself to just one color. Explore both. Now we have to know, after hearing all the evidence, have you switched sides, or are you sticking with your favorite? Are you team white or team red? Let us know your go-to bottle in the comments below. If you learned something new in this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it with a friend who loves wine but is stuck in a rut. And if you want more deep dives that save you money and make you a smarter consumer, make sure you subscribe to Consumer's Choice Top 5 and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update.